Yuri Alekseyevich Gagarin is not just the man who was the first man in space. He is a true symbol of his time, a man who made Soviet aviation and the development of science famous. But not many people know what Yuri was like in life. His childhood was in the small village of Kloshino, near Smolensk. The future cosmonaut was born in 1934 to a family of ordinary peasants. The family was considered to have many children. There were 4 of them, 3 brothers and a sister. The elder one was called Valentin, the younger one Boris, and the sister Zoya. The Great Patriotic War. The boy managed to study only a year in school, after which the Great Patriotic War broke out. Fascism was spreading like a contagion, capturing Soviet cities and towns one by one. The village of Kloshino, where Yuri continued to live, was also invaded. Studies were relegated to the back burner, and in later years, being known to the world, he preferred not to talk about this period. It was too difficult and settled forever in the memory of the boy. 2 years flew by like a decade. Only in 1943 did the village succeed in fighting off the fascists. After the war ended, the whole family moved to Gzatsk, where Yuri's studies continued. The boy had many hobbies. His abilities manifested themselves in everything, from music to photography. Moving to Moscow and his first interest in aviation. After finishing the 6th grade, Yuri moves to Moscow. His parents did not like this decision, but they could not stop him. He was already 15 years old at the time. In the capital, he began practicing basketball, where he was soon appointed captain of the team. A couple of years later, Saratov and enrollment in technical school awaited him. It was there that he first became interested in airplanes. The amateur aviation club became the place where the young Gagarin was lost for days in the reports of the people who founded astronautics. That's where the idea of becoming a pilot came from. He successfully graduated from the technical school, after which he ended up in the army, the Chkalov military aviation school. Not by his own will, he was drafted there. The fate itself as if pushed the young man to the calling. But Yuri's classmates did not like him. He quickly became an assistant platoon commander because of his love for discipline, and conflicts with them were commonplace. Until one moment, when the guy was beaten up at night. So, Yuri ended up in the hospital for a month. But when he came back and continued to serve, he still did not let anybody get away. The hooligans only strengthened his fighting spirit. Only one thing was not given to Yuri Gagarin in aviation school: he could not land the plane, periodically nibbling the nose of the ladder. And because of the strictest requirements decide to expel him. But only the head of the flying school stood up for Yuri, who could not understand why it happened. He suggested that the landing was bad because of the boy's short stature. So the chief decided to give him the last chance, and that was the first time Gagarin planted a pad on his chair. Fortunately for him, his landing was perfect. Life shows that the space will be mastered not by some supermen, but by the simplest people. Gagarin, time was passing. The year 59 came. He was promoted to the rank of warrant officer and was promoted to pilot first class. It was then that he heard that they were recruiting candidates for the first spaceflight. This was followed by an immediate report with an application for admission there. The main criterion was no longer skills. Because of the complexities and design features of the first aircraft, the emphasis was on physical data. And here the height, which had previously given Yuri problems, became a kind advantage. The time will come, and our cosmonauts will bring from the moon to Earth samples of the taut rock, we wrote in the combat sheet. We passionately believe that man will penetrate into space, with great speed will fly around the Earth, and then comes the time of exciting launches to the moon, to Mars, to Venus. Yuri said the first trainings began in 1960, and despite the presence of serious competition, the flight remained in history for Yuri Gagarin. The decision was made by Sergei Korolev, and what criteria he paid more attention to it is not clear. This topic is still open to debate. The main version is the classic Slavic appearance, the ideal biography of each of the family members. And that is the only reason why Titov was made a spare, in case of what?